Hello Amazon sellers, I'm Andy Craig, and today I'm bringing you an invaluable guide on how to perform an Amazon advertising audit. With over 700 Amazon advertising audits under my belt, I've learned a thing or two about cutting back waste, properly structuring your Amazon campaigns, and optimizing your bids to maximize sales at your target profitability. And this is not going to be just a couple tweaks. In this video, I'm going to break it down, give you a complete overhaul on how to structure your Amazon account, and show you ways to maximize profitability while cutting back that wasted ad spend. We're gonna dive deep into budget allocation, bid optimization, placement optimization, how to properly structure your account, how to maximize your conversion rate, and how to set up, track, and achieve your goals. So if you're ready to stop the bleed in your ad budget and start seeing some real returns, this video is your first step to a more profitable Amazon brand, so let's get started. So what I've done today is I've made this simple guide that you could access at the end of this video, so you don't need to take notes, you could just have the slides and reference them anytime that you need to. So let's jump into it. So if you're wondering a little bit about this mascot here, this is my Amazon advertising agency. This is AdHabit, and I've worked with hundreds of Amazon sellers doing their ads for them. So let's jump into the next slide here. So in this one, it just covers a step-by-step Amazon PPC audit. Basically, we want to start with where are we? Where are you currently at? And it's all about measuring your metrics. So these are the metrics that you really want to start with. You want to go into the business reports. And if you look at some of my old videos, I've spoken a lot about a lot of these reports over going in your business reports, grabbing the last 30 days, looking at your total sales, your sessions, your conversion rate, or unit session percentage, which is what's going to show up in your business reports. Going into your campaign manager, grabbing your ad spend, your ACoS, or return on ad spend, your click-through rate, your ads conversion rate. And if you look down here, we got your sessions per conversion, which is just 1 divided by that conversion rate. So basically, if you have a 10% conversion rate, if you go 1 divided by that 10, it's going to take you 10 sessions to get a conversion. Or if you're talking about your ads conversion rate, that means it's going to take you 10 clicks to get that conversion. All right. Then we want to calculate your cost per session, which is your ad spend divided by your total sessions. And it's going to give you, how much each visit into your listing is actually costing you. And then for your cost per conversion here, we have your cost per session times these sessions per conversion. Now that's going to tell you exactly how much it costs you for each purchase that you get, which is a very important metric. And we want to keep that as low as possible so you can maximize your profitability, but you don't want to get it so low that you're sacrificing, potential revenue. It's basically the same thing as the TACoS here, which stands for total advertising cost of sale, and is your ad spend divided by your total sales. Now we want to keep this percentage low. So if you have like 50% profit margins on your product and a 10% TACoS, that means you have 40% left over in profit, which is great. But let's say you have a low profit margins of 20% and then you have a 20% TACoS. That means you completely broke even, and we're not in the business to break even. We're in business to make money. So the first step is, having products with a decent profit margin. The landscape on Amazon is just getting more competitive over time. Cost per clicks are going up, cost per acquisition is going up. So you need to have very healthy margins so you can spend enough on ads to, outspend your competitors. And it starts a lot with these metrics here, right? Keeping the cost per acquisition low, keeping the conversion rate high so you could rank higher, not rely as much on PPC, a lot of this stuff. And then we have your average order value, which is your total orders divided by your total sales. And it's just gonna help us figure out exactly what each sale is worth. And then we got your profit per order, which is gonna be your average order value. So subtract your cost of goods sold, which is just what it takes to manufacture and ship into Amazon. And then we have your cost per conversion minus your FBA fees. And all that is going to give you your profit per order, right? And profits are why we're in this business. You need to track your profits. And one thing that I left out of here is your returns, right? You also want to be tracking your returns, your refunds, damaged goods, all this kind of stuff, so you can get very accurate numbers at the end of the day. So I wouldn't do this, on a daily basis, but maybe on a monthly report, make sure you're subtracting a lot of your returns and a lot of your damaged units and all that stuff right out of your profits, just so you have very accurate numbers so you can get a feel for where your business is. Now, if you're not tracking a lot of this stuff and you're not keeping proper books for your business, let's say you want to sell your business over time, it's a lot harder to sell. Now, I've read several books on this. One of my favorites is The Exitpreneur by Joe Valey from the Quiet Light Brokerage. Very good book about, getting your business ready to sell. I definitely recommend reading that book. It starts with your metrics. So let's get into the next thing. And below, I have a analytics sheet, so you can make sure to track your metrics on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, which I got from my buddy Mina Elias years ago. And I still use it to this day. My team uses the tracking. We use a lot of API access now. We don't use the spreadsheet as much. But if you don't want to, get a bunch of bills with a bunch of softwares, I do recommend starting with a simple spreadsheet and track your metrics on a daily basis. And this is what the spreadsheet's going to look like. Basically, you just want to put your brand name in here for you. brand name might not be important because you know what your brand name is. But for my agency, we work with tons of different brands. So we want to, make sure we know the brand and the product code that we're working with. And then obviously everything else is here, right? We want to know, what the PPC spend is, the PPC sales, the total sales. And this is breaking down on a daily basis. And then you can simply just go in here and there's a formula in here. So once you change the date here, it's going to go ahead and change it in like every column, right? So maybe I'll change it to today, which is November 28th. And then it'll go ahead and adjust it for me. You get your sales, your total sales, and then it's all these gray ones. It's just going to do the calculation for you. Units, sessions, it's going to calculate unit cost per session, unit session percentage. It's going to go ahead and calculate your ACoS, your TACoS, and then go ahead and put in your metrics over here, sales price, Amazon fees, and your COGS. It's going to go ahead and calculate your profits as well, right? And then we're going to get a blended cost per acquisition. So I recommend, going in at least once a week and filling out every single week. Maybe do, like Monday through Sunday and then wait until like Wednesday to fill this out. And then what I do is every week, I'll also update the previous week. So I'll come in here and I'll update this in case like that 7-day attribution window, things might change. Let's say every Monday or every Wednesday, I'm going to go through and update the past 2 weeks, right? So I have very accurate numbers over time. And one of the most important things about this is tracking. How do you know what goals to set up unless you track it, right? Setting up those goals is very important. So I would set up a PPC spend goal, a profit goal, and a TACoS goal. Those are very important things. And then a total sales goal. That's important. You want to increase your total sales over time. So total sales, TACoS, keep your TACoS low and increase your total sales. And those are the main things that can really help to grow an account. So I highly recommend start to track these. And you're going to come up with you not hitting your goals. It's going to happen. And then you want to be able to figure out exactly why. What tweaks do I need to make to actually hit these goals, right? Is it my unit session percentage that I need to increase? Is my cost per session too much? Possibly just need to lower my cost per click. Click-through rate can be like a traffic issue. If you're getting tons of traffic, but not a lot of clicks, it's a click-through rate problem, right? So this can really help you diagnose exactly what the issue is or, what improvements drove higher profits just by tracking it. All right, so use the sheet in the description below. You'll be able to copy it and then, just use it from now on. And what you could do is just copy this tab if you have multiple products and you want to track multiple products. All right, so getting into the next screen here, we're all about naming convention. So when you're setting up your naming convention, there's tons of different people to talk about. There's a lot of different ways you could do it, but the bare minimum for me is what's below. What I like to do is I like to give each portfolio and I like to separate that by parent listing. So like I sold a magnetic flashlight for a while and ML is my product identifier, just magnetic flashlight, very easy to identify. So at the beginning of each campaign name, I started off with that product ID, which also matches my portfolio that all these campaigns are going to be in. So ML is that product ID. And then I'm going to go ad type, which is going to be SP for sponsored products, SB for sponsored brands, and SD for sponsored display. And then I'm going to put the match type because at Ad Habit, we like to separate each campaign by match type. So exact will be in one campaign, broad in one, phrase in one, category in one, regular ASIN targeting in one, expanded ASIN targeting in another, auto campaigns in one, so on and so forth. We separate that. Every match type performs a little bit differently and we set up different goals. So we want to make sure to separate by match type. And then we go by performance over here. So like for exact match campaign, my performance may be my goal or purpose of the campaign. And that's just going to go for a target ACoS. So we set up a file to where we have all of our goals at the product level. Each product has all these goals, right? Depending on what the goal is, it may have a different ACoS, whatever KPI I'm trying to hit, key performance indicator. So let's say for my exact match campaign, maybe my goal is a 50% ACoS, right? But if I have a exact match ranking campaign, maybe I'm looking at under 100% ACoS, but what I want to hit is a sales velocity or a certain conversion rate, right? So that's a different KPI that we want to track. So keep that in mind and track those. And then there's branded, there's defensive, there's discovery. Some of the other examples like discovery is for my auto, my broad, my phrase, my category, where I really want those to just go out and have a really good ACoS, maybe at 30%. If exact is 50, maybe my auto broad phrase, maybe I want to keep it at like 30, right? To be very efficient, be very profitable, and go out and find me new search terms. All right, and these are going to be some of your best performing campaigns while you're using your exact match ones a little bit more strategically, a little bit more to drive a ton of orders, things like that. And then we like to add the date in there. And then you can add other information at the end. Like if it's a single keyword campaign, I'll put SKW. Or if it's single keyword campaign, I'll also put the word. Like if this is also going after magnetic flashlight, the keyword, I'll go ahead and put that in quotes at the end. So basically this is just the basic structure we like to use. So come up with some sort of naming convention, stick to it so everything is searchable across your entire account. It's organized so anyone that goes into your account knows exactly, how to treat it, how to look at it, what the goal is, so nobody's confused, especially if you have a team managing it, like maybe you and a VA, or if you're doing it with an agency, you want to know exactly how they're naming your campaigns. So if you're not sure, if you're confused, ask them to break it down on like a template for you. Okay, let's jump into the next slide here. So the other structure we want to do is, parent listing, portfolio, campaign, right? And I talked about that a little bit. I just want to give a visual here. One parent listing per portfolio, and keep all your campaigns for that parent listing in that correct portfolio. And this gets rid of your reliance on PPC software, right? If all Amazon API got screwed up today and all the softwares were, out of whack, you still want to be able to easily go into your actual Amazon account, go into the portfolios and see your performance across each parent listing, right? Because each parent listing is like the one listing on Amazon. So that's how we like to track the performance on a per listing basis. Because someone might click on, say, your green variation as the ad, and then maybe they purchase the orange, or Amazon attribution is all kind of screwed up. Usually they do a pretty good job, but we like to keep each parent listing as the housing for our performance metrics. All right, so this is how we set things up, and this is how I recommend to do it. All right, and the next thing we talked about, one match type per campaign, and I like to run one ad group per campaign. The reason why we run one ad group per campaign is because that budget is set at the campaign level. So if you have multiple ad groups in a campaign, Amazon doesn't really divvy up that budget evenly across those multiple ad groups. And, they're going to say, oh, I'm going to put all the budget towards this ad group, and then these other ones may not get a lot of traffic. Now, we like to retain as much control as possible. So to prevent that from happening, we run one ad group per campaign at AdHabit. And the next thing I want to talk about here is how to really separate these campaigns. Now, single keyword campaigns are a big part of our strategy, and usually depending on the niche and how many actual keywords are in it, depends on how many campaigns we really launch and what the budget is of each brand we work with as well. But for the most part, generally, keywords that are like 500, 1,000 search volume, couple thousand search volume, we like to put into single keyword campaigns, especially if they're the main keywords of the product, like magnetic flashlight. Mine was a 90-degree flashlight as well. So magnetic flashlight, 90-degree flashlight, mini flashlight, small flashlight. Those are big search volume keywords for me. So I actually put those into single keyword campaigns. And when I say that, it's one campaign, one ad group, and then also one keyword per campaign. So I have the most amount of control as possible. I have the bids, the budgets, and the placements that I could all control on the single keyword level. Okay, so it's the most powerful way you could do things, and it gives you the most granularity. But I don't suggest to do this across every single campaign. It gets a lot harder to manage, especially if you have tons of products. But generically, I would say to stick to around 5 targets per campaign for keywords with search volume. If there's keywords that have no search volume, and then you're just like adding a bunch of random keywords in Spanish and misspellings all to a bunch of campaigns, you could add a bunch of those into a campaigns. But for keywords with search volume that you got done from keyword research, from brand analytics and all that, I suggest running about 5 targets max per campaign, and then keeping your best ones into single keyword campaigns. Okay, let's jump into some visuals here. So you can see single keyword campaign is campaign, ad group, keyword, like I spoke about. And then you have your 5 keyword campaigns, campaign, ad group, and then 5 keywords in there. And then we talked about, a little bit of the different purposes of the campaign. So you have your branded keywords. I suggest to launch those right away, right? Right now, you may not have a lot of branded search, or if you're a brand that's been selling for a while, you may have a ton of branded search. I have a lot of clients that get 70% of all their purchases through branded because they just they run a ton of Facebook ads. They have huge social media presence. They work with a lot of influencers. So they have a lot of people typing in the brand name. So you want to protect those, but you want to keep a low ACoS on them, in my opinion. So, make sure you're launching them across all sponsored products and sponsored brand ads to protect all your creative assets and all your ads across all those different ad types. Depends on how much you want to protect them, but usually you're going to get a pretty good ACoS, 5-10%. It's really personally up to you on how much you want to spend to keep your competitors from advertising on yours. But most likely they're probably losing money. Your conversion rate, I would guarantee it's a lot higher than yours. And you can look into brand analytics and take a look at a lot of that stuff to see if they're getting any market share whatsoever. But the next thing I want to do is create defensive ads. Now, branded and defensive are a little bit different. Defensive are when you target your own ASINs and your ads show up on your own product detail pages. So with that, you want to go after those on sponsor product, sponsor brand, and sponsor display with all ad types and match types, just so everything is covered. And these ones, I'll run a little bit higher ACoS, right? Depends on what my ACoS threshold is, but maybe 10, 20%. to protect my own brands. So this also depends on what your goals are, and this is very particular to your budget and to how much you want to protect your own listings. So right away, make sure you launch all branded and all defensive. And this is going to stop you from losing sales to competitors. When people come into your listing, you've noticed, I'm sure, tons of ads that show up all over the place. And these defensive ads are going to help to keep a lot of those competitors off of your listing. Not all of them, but the more you do it, the more products you have, it helps to keep those off. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is launching auto campaigns. Now, what we found is we launch 4 auto campaigns for each one of our parent listings or portfolios. So each one of our portfolios will have 4 auto campaigns, and there's those 4 automatic targeting groups. You got close match, loose match, complements, and substitutes. Now, they perform differently. They show up in different placements on Amazon. So we found from day one, the best strategy is to launch them into their own campaign. So you'll launch one and pause the other 3 in each campaigns. And if you have any questions about that, put that below. I'm happy to, show you, but this next visual is going to basically show you how to do it. Auto campaign, ad group, close match, auto campaign, ad group, loose match, complement, substitutes, so on and so forth, right? So this is the best way to structure it to get the best performance out of each one. And a lot of times one is going to perform better than the other. And now that they're in their separate campaigns, we could scale them and increase the budgets, increase the placements independently of the entire campaign. So we've gone over a lot of the organization, and I suggest to keep your campaigns organized from day one, and your account will never confuse you, right? If you have all this set up, you have all your purposes set up and all your campaigns properly named, you're always going to know what's going on. When I first started doing Amazon ads years ago, I was always so confused. Every time I went into my account, I'm like, what's the strategy here? I was always confused, and it was before I realized I could look at the history tab. I started using my buddy's tool, Adtactix, which I went over in a couple of videos in the past, and that helped me get organized a lot. And obviously, I've come a long way since then. So keep everything organized, and it'll really make your optimizations a lot quicker and allow you to scale up faster, because being organized is great. All right, jumping into this, you want to make sure you're doing your weekly optimization. So this is another part of the audit that I want to go over, is optimize all your bids. So when I'm going through my audits, I'm looking at the history tab to make sure that people are optimizing their bids, and I'm also looking at the bids. I'm looking at the performance, I'm looking at what the target ACoS is, and I'm looking at the cost per click and the ACoS, and determining if the bid is properly in the right position to optimize the bid properly. So you want to make sure you're optimizing your bids at a minimum of once per week, but we're very data focused at AdHabit. So we wait for the right amount of data to come in. Earlier, I talked about a 10% conversion rate and how many clicks it takes to get that purchase. So in that case, it would be 10 clicks. So, certain keywords, we're going to want to optimize every 10 clicks. So if you're getting, 20 clicks a day, I would say let's optimize that bid once per day. If you're getting 1 click a day, maybe once per week makes more sense. So we're very data focused. Some campaigns we optimize a lot more frequently, other ones not so much. All right, so make sure you're optimizing your bids. Look at the cost per click, look at that target ACoS, and then raise and lower your bid above or lower than that, which we'll get into in the next slide. All right, make sure you're launching your campaigns weekly from the search term report. Now, I have a specific search term report and cutting wasted ad spend videos, so you want to make sure you go through those. We might be able to add it right up here. Hopefully it'll pop up. If not, just click on my videos below and you'll see all the different videos I've made. So when I talk about launching from that search term report, you're going to have your auto, your broad, your phrase, your category targeting campaigns. They're going to go out throughout Amazon and find new keywords and new products that you could target specifically. And what's going to happen is you're going to get clicks, and you're going to start to get purchases. As this happens, they're going to still have control. When I say they, Amazon is going to still have control when you show up on those keywords, when you get the clicks, and when you get the purchases. But what you want to do is take those and start to add them to exact match and exact product targeting campaigns, so you can control a little bit of the impressions and put the right bid to maximize your orders in each one of those targets at your target ACoS. And this really helps to grow your account over time. So I suggest going into your search term report every single week, figuring out where you performed well, and make sure to launch those new campaigns every week. And now we want to talk about cutting back your wasted ad spend. One thing you want to do, and I've gone over this in several videos already, is open up your campaign manager, go down to your targeting tab, and sort by spend high to low. The ones that you're spending the most money on are going to make the biggest difference in your optimizations, right? And the ones that are getting a lot of orders are going to make a huge difference too. So the ones that you're spending a lot of money on that are also getting a lot of orders, you want to make very slow tweaks to those. You don't want to make huge bid adjustments, because it's just going to shut your orders off completely. Now, the ones that are spending a ton of money, have a super high ACoS, and aren't really attributing to tons of orders, as you cut back the wasted ad spend on those are going to help out significantly in your overall performance. Drastically lower the bids or possibly pause those keywords if they've met certain threshold. In this audit, I'm not going to go over specifics as far as cutting back wasted ad spend. I have other videos where we touched on that, but go ahead, lower the bids and pause those. Go into your search term tab in your auto, your broad, your phrase campaigns, which I just spoke about, and you want to start adding negative keywords. Let's say where you've gotten past a certain spend or click threshold and you haven't made any sales, you want to start adding negative exact and negative product targeting ASINs, so you're not showing up for those keywords anymore. And that's going to make your auto, your broad, your phrase campaigns much more efficient and lower your wasted ad spend, give you a better ACoS, allow you to scale up and just be more profitable, lowering the TACoS, all that. All right. Now I just made this quick slide on adjusting your bids a little bit because I've noticed people have been a little bit confused by that in the past. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's the iterative method over here that you could just use, just set up like kind of just brackets, like, okay, if it's between this ACoS, this is what I'm going to do. You could do this by actual physical amounts like this, or you could do this by a percentage, maybe 5, 10, 15, 20%. And then you could do same thing here, 5, 10, 15, 20% in the opposite direction, right? Instead of doing the fixed amounts, you could do percentages. And then you could use like a revenue per click times target ACoS. It's a very popular formula that tons of people use. Now, when you're going through in Campaign Manager, it's a lot harder to use a formula. But if you're using bulk sheets, I have tons of videos on bulk sheets already. I plan to create a lot more. I do recommend getting used to bulk sheets and using those. Check out Adtactix, which is a video I made very recently. A tool that really unlocks bulk sheets for you and makes it super simple. But like I said, if you're using Campaign Manager, use this method over here. If you're using bulk sheets, you could use something like this, right? And this is just going to give you the breakdown of what it looks like, right? If we're going to use this bid adjustment on the left, if you have a target ACoS of 40%, your ACoS is 15, your cost per click is $2, your new bid should go up to 215, according to this chart here. If you have your ACoS of 80%, cost per click of $2, then you need to drop your bid below that cost per click if you want the ACoS to start to go down. All right, it's just a simple, quick page for reference on how to properly optimize a bid. So as I'm finishing up here, I want to ask you, are you focusing on organic ranking? If this is a brand that you want to last a long time and you're really looking for long-term success, I highly suggest to focus on organic ranking. If this product isn't working out for you, you just want to get rid of stock, just focus on sales. But most people want to focus on ranking. Most people want to make this brand long-term. So let's talk a little bit about that. Continue to do your weekly optimizations, optimize towards that. But as you're doing it, you want to focus on which campaigns, which keywords are really working the best, which ones are converting the best for you. Make sure you're tracking your organic rank on a daily basis. So use tools like HELIUM 10 Keyword Tracker. It's probably the most popular one. And start tracking these keywords, right? I have a spreadsheet that helps us track this day by day. So we actually download and export the data, the history data from the HELIUM 10 Keyword Tracker. This allows us to track it, the entire history of the ranking on that keyword. So if you're interested in that, comment below and I'll be sure to attach it. Other than that, you want to look for the opportunity to gain organic ranking. You want to see where you're converting well, where you are possibly already ranking, and if it's a super relevant keyword. And what I suggest to do is to actually come up with organic ranking campaigns. Now, these campaigns have a specific goal, like I mentioned earlier, on sales velocity. As long as you push more traffic and your conversion rate stays high, you should see your organic ranking continuously climb to the top of page one. So this is very important. And these are not very profitable campaigns usually. These are going to lose money on the sense of the Amazon ad side. But you want to be able to track your organic ranking and then use tools like brand analytics to track your market share on that keyword. So I highly suggest to implement this strategy at all. If you have any questions about it, you can go to my website, book a call, and I could walk you through it a little bit more in depth. Okay. But other than that, use organic rank tracking, launch these ranking campaigns, measure that organic rank, blah blah blah. A lot of the stuff I went over, and continue to rinse and repeat on your best keywords. Right. You're gonna run those ranking campaigns, maybe not forever. Once you get to the top of page one, you may start to back off and be less aggressive, more focused on a good ACoS in that campaign while monitoring the organic rank on a daily basis, and then go on to the next keyword and the next keyword. Not every keyword you're going to be able to get to the top of page one, but, for instance, I had a client I made a video for yesterday, and they have a keyword that's relevant, but it's not, super relevant to where they're getting it to the top of page one. But bottom of page one, mid page one, yes. And that keyword has 900,000 searches over the past month, which is a huge keyword, right? So if they get to page one for that, that's just going to add tons of sales into their business just because there's so many sales happening on that keyword, right? So that's our goal right now, just page one I don't care if it's bottom, middle, top would be great. I doubt we're going to get there. It's going to be way too expensive. And it's not just about being expensive. If your conversion rate isn't as good as the people at the top of the page, it's going to be hard to rank there. So if you're going after a super irrelevant keyword, trying to rank for it, it's likely not going to happen, right? You want to go after keywords that you're converting really well for. All right, and you can go into your brand metrics tab in Campaign Manager, try to look at the conversion rate of your competitors. You can go into Product Opportunity Explorer. It's another great section. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So just to recap before we close out, are you tracking your metrics and making data-backed decisions? Ask yourself this when you're doing these audits. Are all your campaigns organized and not overstuffed with too many targets? I suggest to go through each campaign at least once a month and figure out, are there targets in there that are getting 0 impressions, 0 clicks? If so, just pause, relaunch them into new campaigns. Even if you have 5 targets per campaign, those ones might not be getting the impressions that you want them to do. And let's say they continue to not do that, check your indexing, use like HELIUM 10 index checker to check for that. Are you running all your match types and graduating your keywords from that search term report? So are you continuously launching new keywords? As you're optimizing your bids, as you're cutting out waste, your PPC spend is going to go down, and you need to replace that with new keywords to continuously move up the sales funnel and maximize your orders and just, really blow up this product for you. Set up your recurring important tasks and make them recurring. Now, I use ClickUp. I've had my complete ClickUp set up by a friend of mine, Jeff, who runs the Bedrock agency. He set it up for my entire agency so I could track all my teams. I could track all my recurring tasks. Everyone knows what to do at all times. And you never forget anything because I'm a forgetful person. If I don't write something down, I'm going to forget about it. So ClickUp has really changed my life, and not just for my business, but for my personal life as well. I remind myself to pick up my kid's medicine on there. Like I remind myself to fix my water heater, things like that. So in my past life, I was an electrician. So, I do all my own housework. I have a real hard time hiring people to do it. Anyways, it's not important in this call. So are you being intentional about your organic ranking and optimizing for your conversion rate? So I didn't hit on how to increase your conversion rate if it's bad. You need to look at your listing, realistically compare your listing to the top competitors, and figure out, why someone would rather buy their product. Do they have a lot more reviews? That's not a ton you could do about that, other than just giving away product for free, trying to get reviews from people on social media and stuff like that. Is it a review rating, right? If they have thousands of reviews and you have hundreds, and their rating is 4.9 and yours is 4.5, I would rather buy theirs than yours. But you can have a better product. So get a better product. Keep your ratings as high as possible. That's going to help your conversion rate. Look at your price point compared to those. Look at your listing, your creatives, your A+ content, your copy. Do you have a better listing, right? And if you don't, work on that, and you're going to see the conversion rate increase as you do that. And then constantly split test things in your listing. Split test your main image, your title, your bullet points, your A+ content, your secondary images. Split testing over time is going to help your conversion rate go up and your click-through rate, which is going to drive more traffic and drive more sales to your products and making you more profitable at the end of the day. And there you have it, a comprehensive guide on how to give yourself a proper Amazon advertising audit. And if this is not something you want to do yourself, like I said, I've done over 700 of them. So go ahead and click the link below, and I'll personally go into your Amazon advertising account and give you a free audit. And remember, auditing your Amazon advertising account is not just a one-time task. It's an ongoing process that you should probably do at a minimum of a monthly basis. So set yourself a task to continuously remember to audit yourself, or set a task up for me to do it for you. And by focusing on the key areas that we discussed in this audit today, you can transform your Amazon ads from a cost center to a profit-making machine. So thank you for watching today, and if you found this content in this video helpful, do me a simple favor, like and subscribe, and comment below if you have any particular questions that you want answered or any topics that you want me to cover in my next video. I'll see you in the next one.